Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time you're reviewing a video of mine, my name is Mattie, and today I thought I would talk about my favorite non-blockbuster movies, which are technically indie movies, and let's see how many you know maybe. And before I get into the list, I do recommend watching the trailers for any of these movies that you're slightly kind of interested in, because how I'm going to describe them is mostly based on my memory of them, and some of them I haven't seen since the first time I saw them, but I still love them. They're also very hard to find on like streaming services, so just go with it at this point. So let's start off with well, let's go with Juno because I have it on top of my list because I have a list here. Juno, actually, I remember it coming out and being like this really cool classic kind of movie. Like, everybody's probably seen Juno at this point. If they haven't, they probably should. And if you haven't, I'll give you a basic description of what I remember. It's pretty much this teen who gets pregnant and decides not to have the baby. She gives it up for adoption at this point, and it's kind of like her journey through it all and high school. I don't know, Ella Page is really good in the movie. That's all I remember. That's all I remember for that movie. And then another one that I really like is The Way, Way Back. And The Way, Way Back is a good, I think it's a coming of age story. I don't know. It takes over like this boy's life over a summer or something. But that he works at a water park. Sam Rockwell's in it. It gets very crazy, and like, and then it's pretty much about how his life's kind of terrible until he goes to this water park and it's like really great. And like, that's all I remember of that movie, is the water park and him having a terrible life. That's all. And then what we can do? Yeah, we'll do the two books that I have. Yeah, I've read two books that are technically indie movies now, or based off of indie movies that are based off of books. There you go. I can't speak today. So they are Being Wallflower, Palo Alto, and Palo Alto is the stories of that James Franco kind of heard of or was part of in his life, and the names that are in the book are the book is the same as the movie. So if you've read the book, you'll kind of see it. But the movie's kind of the same in it, and I know that like James Franco's name is involved. Like, oh my gosh! But besides that, it's a pretty good book. And the way, if you just don't think about that part, just watch it for the content that it is. And then Perks of Being Wallflower is it's probably like one of the best movies ever. I don't remember if it was a indie movie or not. I don't remember, honestly, if it was. I looked it up and it said that it was on a bunch of lists that it was an indie movie, so I'm counting it. I don't remember if it was, but it said it is, so I'm gonna listen to the internet for some reason. So pretty much, if you haven't seen the movie, if you never read the book, it's pretty much the story of Charlie, who is this very quiet, reserved type of person who has some issues, but you don't know what they are. I don't think it's ever addressed in the book either. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've watched the movie and read the book. So pretty much just his life in ninth grade, and he finds these two people that kind of befriend him, and he kind of has friends in this way. And I mean, there's a lot of like sad, tragic thing that happened, because I think it's not a modern day story. I think it's like back maybe in the 70s, 80s, whenever MASH was the last episode of MASH was. MASH was a big thing in the book. I just remember that. And yeah, pretty much just the story of him, and it's just a really good book, and I love the book and I love the movie. Both of those that I just said, the movies are really close to the book, if I haven't said that already, but yeah, they are. And then another one that I want to talk about is Fathers and Daughters. And Fathers and Daughters is one of those stories where like the beginning doesn't make sense until you get to the end. In a way, at least when you go to present day of the daughter, like, it won't make sense, but then it does. And this is actually one of the first movies I've ever seen, like, Aaron Paul in. And he does an amazing job in this movie. Like, so good. Like, just made me really like him as an actor. I didn't watch Breaking Bad, so this is my first exposure to him, so sorry for those Breaking Bad fans. I know I need to watch it. Yeah, so pretty much it is the story of the father and daughter. The father's in the past, the daughter's in the present, and it pretty much it's the father is a famous writer, and he writes about, I think, the daughter at some point and all this stuff, but the father also has problems, and the problems kind of like go into the daughter's life and all that. It's a really good movie. Like, don't watch it halfway. That's all I ever recommend. Don't watch it halfway and then watch the other half, because it won't make sense. So you have to watch it all the way through. And then another one that's really good that does the same thing is We Need to Talk About Kevin. And We Need to Talk About Kevin is a very dark movie. It's also based off of books, so if you want to read the book before you watch the movie, go ahead, do that. I didn't know it was a book until like recently, so I didn't know. But is it dark? It's dark. Yeah. So it's also very confusing. I remember being very confused watching it the first time, but it's just keep rolling with it, because by the time you get to the end, like the beginning obviously will make sense. Just not when you watch it. Or it's one of those movies you have to watch multiple times, which I didn't do. I just watched it once and been like, I don't want to watch that again. Because there's murder involved, okay? I'm not telling you how, but there's murder involved. Another one. Yes, I'm gonna get to these movies before I forget them. It is, so, a movie called Fierce People. If you haven't seen Fierce People, recommend it. It's pretty much what happens is this mother and son move into this elite family's home because the mother is gonna be the caretaker, I think, of the old rich man. And yeah, pretty much you get, through the son's eyes, you see the world of the elite in a way. And Chris Evans is in it, Kristen Stewart is in it, and other son Donald Sutherland, and a couple of other actors that I forget the name of. But yeah, it's really heavily A-list people, I think, or at least not at that time, but they are now. But it has a pretty good twist in it, and like it gets really dark at some points, but it's really good. Just watch the trailer for this one. That's really hard to describe it without giving a lot of stuff away. Another one is Rudderless. Rudderless has one of the best twists I've ever seen in a movie, and I can't really tell you what it is because it's a really good twist, but pretty much what happens is this father, after his son is dead or has died, he kind of uses his music in a way and starts playing his songs with a band, and then that's pretty much what happens. And because of his son's death, like everything kind of went kind of haywire and crazy, and you understand why when you get to like the midpoint or like towards the end kind of. But it was such a great twist, because you hear about this one thing that happened throughout the whole movie, and then you get the twist, and then you're like, oh shit, like it's an oh shit moment. Oh my gosh, I can't speak, I'm so sorry. Then another one is Fruitvale Station, which is a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it, just watch it. Like, it's based off a true story, and it is such a tragic thing that this stuff happens in real life, pretty much. And if you don't know what happens at Fruitvale Station, and I'm trying my best, and I can't remember any of the names, pretty much what happens is this African American gets shot, and he was pretty much defenseless. And then, like, a bunch of people were like, this is wrong, and then you kind of be like, oh yeah, that was wrong, like, he was a human being, he didn't do anything wrong. And I haven't seen it in a while, but it's a pretty good movie, as far as I remember. Let me try to get a couple more in before I forget. Let me see. I'm looking at my list, I'm trying to figure it out. So I'll talk about Before We Go. Before We Go is actually a pretty good movie. It is a movie directed by Chris Evans, and it's very philosophical in a way because it talks about love and like how we should love in a certain way, and do we actually still love this person or not, or why are we still in relationships. And yeah, I just remember love being involved and happening over one night, and the woman that's in the movie deciding if she wants to go home or not because I think her husband's having an affair and she knows, or something like that. Like, that's pretty much what happened, I think, in the movie. I don't remember that much. And then I have another movie for... So I'll talk about Jersey Girl. Jersey Girl is one of my favorite movies growing up. I mean, my little sister, like, watched it one day on, like, HBO or something back in the early 2000s. If you remember that decade, because I kind of do. Grew up during that decade. Makes sense. So pretty much what happens in the movies, as small far as I can remember, is pretty much this father raising his young daughter, and it's so good. I just showed my niece this, and she's like 8, and she loved the movie too, which is amazing. Yeah, she really liked it, so that was nice. Me and my little sister, we watched it, like, we could really relate to it in a way, and there's probably one of the first movies we could relate to because because for us, like, our father kind of raise us. Like, we still have a mom, like, my mom's still alive, but like my mom worked so much and she still works a lot, so on the weekends my dad always has the weekends off, so he had to like keep an eye on us, like take us to farm sales, do all that kind of stuff, and in the morning for school, like, he had to get our hair up and make sure we were dressed and all that stuff. Like, he did all that for us when we were younger, and it was like amazing that he could do it. I mean, he got better at putting our hair up, but besides that, like, it was amazing thing to do for us because he didn't have to. And so before I cry, let's get to the last movie that I want to talk about. That's kind of a twist to me in a way. It's not a movie with a twist, it's just, I'm surprised this was an indie movie. And that was Heathers. And if you have not seen Heathers, it's like a cult classic by now. Like, it was made in the 80s, cult classic. Pretty much we need to know what happens is there's these 3 group of girls named Heather. There's another girl named Veronica. There's a guy named JD. There's murder. A lot of hair, and there's a lot of like bullying and teasing and like basic stuff that you see today. It's a very classic movie. I've seen it. They call it it's pretty much a black comedy, but when I watched it on Netflix, they called it a comedy. They were liars. Yeah, I was also, because of the cult classic status of it, it's also a musical now, which I recommend don't watch the Riverdale version because it sucks. Try to find the actual Heathers version, or Heathers the musical version with like professional singers, not people who get like auto-tune. But yeah, I do know some of the songs, by the way, but that's about it. I think that is my list. As I said in the beginning, please watch all the trailers for these movies. I highly recommend you watch the trailers for these movies because I don't want to be like yelled at in any way, shape, or form because they weren't honest to what they were. Anyways, you can like this video, subscribe if you want to, leave a comment down below if you want to, I don't know, recommend a movie that's an indie movie to me or something. I don't know what you really want to do, so I'm just glad you're watching this video and all that stuff, so bye.